Your heart beats on average approximately 3 billion times in your lifetime. It's one of your most important organs. Although not directly part of the circulatory system, it's the pump that pushes blood to all of our organs and tissues. Our circulatory system is a network consisting of blood vessels, and the heart. This network supplies tissues in the body with oxygen and other nutrients, transports hormones, and removes unnecessary waste products. Arteries carry blood away from the heart and into capillaries, providing oxygen and other nutrients to tissues and cells. Once oxygen is reabsorbed, carbon dioxide is taken up and the blood returns to the heart by the veins and is subsequently pumped to the lungs, where it is then reoxygenated.
Regulating blood flow to each of our organs is vital. Too much blood flow can lead to damage within the tissue, while too little blood flow can cause the tissue to starve from a lack of oxygen and nutrients. Your blood vessels can actually participate in autoregulation in two main ways. First, when blood pressure changes, your vessels can automatically adjust how dilated or constricted they are to return the blood pressure back to normal. Also, when your tissues are active, there is a buildup of metabolites in the tissue that causes dilation of the vessels. These are called vasodilator metabolites, or VDMs, and include carbon dioxide, increased temperature, adenosine, low oxygen, hydrogen ions, and more. Dilation allows more blood to flow through the vessel. This buildup of VDMs can also occur if you block blood flow for a period of time, which produces a response called a reactive hyperemic response. For example, you can block blood flow using a blood pressure cuff. When blood flow is unblocked, there is an even greater amount of blood flow than normal because the vessels have been dilated. This blood flow will wash away the VDMs, and eventually blood flow will return to normal.
Men and women have different cardiovascular systems. One way in which these differences play a role in physiology is through hormonal actions. Women typically produce higher levels of estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen often inhibits guanyl cyclase, which increases levels of nitric oxide in the blood. Nitric oxide is a potent vasodilator, which means it causes blood vessels to increase in diameter. As a result of more nitric oxide, women have a greater initial diameter than men and will likely show less of an increase in diameter during a reactive hyperemic response.
The purpose of our experiment is to investigate the effect of sex differences on the change in blood flow in response to occlusion. We hypothesized that sex differences would have an impact on blood flow in response to occlusion. For our experiment, we tested 19 subjects in total, 10 males and 9 females. We only recruited participants that were approximately 20 years old. To begin, we instructed subjects to sit still facing forward with the right arm relaxed on the table and a heating pad under their arm. Then we attached a laser Doppler fluorometer to the right index finger to measure blood flow. Once baseline blood flow was measured, blood vessels were occluded using a blood pressure cuff maintained at 150 millimeters of mercury for 1 minute. After the minute passed, post-occlusion blood flow was measured. The participant was then rested for 1 minute, and then this procedure was repeated. For analysis, we ran an unpaired t-test and calculated standard error of the mean. We found no significant difference in blood flow rise post-occlusion between males and females, and we had a p-value of 0.165.
Our hypothesis that sex differences will impact blood flow in response to occlusion was unsupported. It was observed that females had a greater difference between baseline and post-occlusion blood flow compared to males, which does not agree with the literature. Females tend to have a smaller blood flow change because they are more vasodilated. Estrogen increases nitric oxide production, which is a potent vasodilator. Since females are more vasodilated, they won't have a greater change in blood vessel diameter due to vasodilator metabolites building up during occlusion. Males normally have less dilated vessels, thus show a greater change in diameter due to vasodilator metabolites.
We may have seen a bigger difference in females because females likely showed more peripheral vasoconstriction from being in the cold weather. To even get a baseline measurement, we had to use a heating pad under the arms. The males, on the other hand, were more likely to have recently participated in experiments involving physical activity, so their blood flow may have been already elevated.
Lastly, since we are using instrumentation that is a surrogate measure of blood flow, it may not have been sensitive enough to measure a significant difference between males and females.